Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of WNBA Prize Picks Top Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm Cooper Bonai for Odd Shopper. You guys can find me on social media at CrashboardsDFS. Haven't had picks in a couple of days, guys. Last time we did have picks, we went 2 for 2. We had Lexi Hull over 8.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And we had Kayla Thornton over 22.5 fantasy score. Both of those hit. So we went 2-0 last time we had a Prize Picks video. Let's go ahead and see if we can't do the exact same thing tonight. Go ahead and dive into it, guys. The first play I want to talk about is going to be Courtney Vandersloot over 27.5 fantasy score. You guys can look at her chart. Obviously, she's been absolutely killing it. She's averaging 29 points, rebounds, and assists, and a fantasy score of 39 over her last 5 games. In 3 of those games, she faced 2 of the league's top 3 defenses. She played Connecticut and Washington. She averaged 28 PRA and 38.6 fantasy score in those games. So you like to see that production from her even when she's facing top defenses. She will be in another barn burner tonight, I'm sure. She has played Seattle 1 time this year, guys. She dropped 11, 4, and 12. She had 2 steals in that game as well. So she had 27 PRA while shooting just 33% from the field. That's compared to her season average. That is not ideal. Season average is 47%, so about 14% worse from the field. She also shot 25% from 3. 12% worse than her season average of 37%. So not a good shooting night for Vandersloot last time she faced the Storm. I always expect those types of numbers to kind of work back towards the mean, back towards the norm. So if she can continue her hot scoring run, she's had 16 points per game over her last 5 games, then she should be good to go considering she always has some very good secondary stats. If she can hit 15 points, then getting to this fantasy score of 27.50 should not be a big deal for her. Also wanted to mention in terms of the fantasy score, guys, Vandersloot is averaging 1.7 stocks per game on the year, but has been playing even better defensively as of late. Over her last 5 games, she's averaged 2.5 stocks per game and just 2 turnovers per game. So if you guys do the math for that, that ends up being plus 5.5 fantasy score per game. I always like to mention blocks and steals plus 3 on Prize Picks, while a turnover is minus 1. So like I said, over her last 5, 2.5 stocks per game, 2 turnovers per game, ends up being plus 5.5 fantasy score per game. If we can get that type of defensive production, we won't need to expect a huge game offensively, but we can sit there and be comfortable knowing that Vandersloot is capable of performing at a very high level offensively. So kind of just leaves us open to getting to that fantasy score number in numerous different ways. She can score. She's capable of having a 10-plus assist night. She's gotten to the free throw line a decent bit. So just a lot of good ways for Vandersloot to kind of be able to attack that fantasy score prop. The last thing I had for this one, guys, is that Chicago's offense has looked fantastic recently. They've scored 94 points per game over their last 2 games, played against 2 great defensive teams. Courtney averaged 15, 4, 6, 2.5 stocks, and 2 turnovers over those 2 games, which was good for an average fantasy score of 33.7. So we're looking for 27.5. Over her last 2, she's got 33.7, and those are against 2 of the best defensive teams in the league. She now faces another one of the best defensive teams in the league. So if she did it against those other 2, and this is a competitive, fiery matchup, I don't see why there should be any issue with her doing it all over again for the 3rd time in a row against a good defense. Before we hop into the second pick, guys, as always, want to mention this show is brought to you by Prize Picks. They are running a promo right now, y'all. It's going to be a first match deposit up to $100 if you head on over there. Type in the promo code AWESEMO. That's AWESEMO for any podcast listeners. Guys, Prize Picks is really fun. It's like a new way to do daily fantasy. It's 2 to 5 prop parlays. If you guys are feeling confident, you can go for a power play where you have to hit every bet in the parlay to win money. Or if you're not feeling so confident, you can run a flex play. Leave it. So maybe if you missed one, if you hit a 2 for 3, you're still profiting on that night. So it kind of leaves it open for you to determine how you want to place bets and how you want to try to make your money. Like I said, guys, first deposit match over at Prize Picks. That's going to be promo code AWESEMO. You can click the link down below, or you guys can download Prize Picks on Google Play or in the App Store. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right back into the bets. I have one more Prize Picks play that I really like tonight. That's going to be Breanna Stewart over 39.5 fantasy score. So we're going to play 2 props from the same game, just different teams, and they're both going to be fantasy score. A couple notes I had on this one, guys. Stewart has been absolutely phenomenal recently over her last 2 games. She's averaged a fantasy score of 54.5 because of just some crazy stat lines. In terms of those stat lines, she has averaged 34, 9, and 4 over those 2, over her last 3. She's also had 1.6 stocks per game, and she has not turned the ball over one time over that span. So everything going right for Breanna right now. In her last matchup versus Chicago, she had one of her lowest point totals of the season. However, that game was all the way back in May. So that's not something we're really looking at in terms of stats that we can pull and use in this prop. She went just 5 for 12 from the field in that game, 0 for 3 from 3. That was months ago, as I mentioned. In her last 2 games, she's been chasing an MVP trophy, guys. She's averaging 19 field goal attempts per game over her last 2. She's also 8 for 13 from 3 over those 2, so she's averaging 6.5 3-point attempts per game. She's made 3 or more 3-pointers in each of her last 3 games, so she's getting it done in a lot of ways. She's been so active offensively that she's starting to draw more fouls. Not that we should expect this tonight necessarily, guys. These 2 teams are ranked 1 and 2 in terms of opponent free throw attempts per game, so I'm not expecting her to go to the line and have 15 free throw attempts. However, it's good to know that she's just been scoring in so many different ways. It's good to know that she's been contributing to this fantasy score prop in so many ways, whether it be blocks and steals, scoring over the last 2 games. She's had great rebounding stats recently, not a lot of turnovers. So everything just kind of points towards Stewie continuing this run that she's been on. Also thought I'd mention that both of these teams look great in terms of postseason positioning, but they're both still fighting for that positioning. You know, teams are still fighting for home court advantage and things of that nature. So these games still matter. Also, Stewie is still fighting for a shot at the MVP. So this game should stay competitive down to the wire. I have no problem riding this wave from Stewart. Should be a huge game for her. If not, it would disappoint everybody that's tuning in. This game is heavily advertised. These are 2 top-tier teams fighting for playoff positioning. I like the idea of a star player such as Breanna Stewart continuing this run that she's been on. If she's done it the last 2 games, if she's averaged 42 over her last 5, I have no problem riding out this wave and seeing if she can't do it all over again. All right, guys, so the 2 picks I have, it's going to be Breanna Stewart over 39.5 fantasy score. It's going to be Courtney Vandersloot over 27.5 fantasy score. Same game, Sky versus Storm game. You guys, if you don't watch many games, tune into this one. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really good game, or at least it should be. I mean, these are 2 really good, really competitive teams, so I would definitely tune in. But that'll do it for me, you guys. I will be back tomorrow with more picks. I hope everybody has good luck tonight. Hope everybody has good slips. If you liked 1 or 2 of these plays, go ahead and throw them in your slip as well. Like I said earlier, run a flex, run a power play. Prize Picks kind of let you do whatever. So whatever you're most confident in, I would go ahead and throw that in the old slip. As always, guys, before I get out of here, want to mention, like and subscribe to the Odd Shopper YouTube page. It is fantastic content. So many content creators, so many different sports. You can kind of get your fix in anything that you're into. So like, subscribe, turn notifications on, comment, interact with us, the whole 9. I will be back tomorrow, like I said, so I will talk to you guys then. And good luck tonight, everybody. I hope we all are winning a little bit of money. Until then.